Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. I'm Izzy, and today we're working on some built-in cabinets for the new shop. Now that may not sound real exciting, oh boy, cabinets, right? Well, I chose built-ins because built-ins are a little bit cheaper to build than if you're building box by box, and if you know what you're doing, it can be a little bit easier. So whenever you're doing something, especially in a garage where the floor may change grade, the walls are probably not perfectly flat and may not be perfectly plumb, it can be a little bit of a challenge to do built-ins, but with these simple tricks I'm going to show you today, super easy, great results. You can even save a little money by building a built-in rather than doing a box by box. Before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about the Cove commuter. This thing is rocking. Subwoofer right on the bottom right here. You set this on a work surface, turn this thing on, you get an incredible amount of bass. The other thing that's really cool about it, it has a 30-foot range, so you can stick your phone right in your pocket, leave it pretty much anywhere in your shop and walk around. Well, it's provided your shop's like a 1,000 square foot shop or smaller. But that's perfect, so I can keep my phone on me. If somebody calls or I get a text message, I don't have to go chase it down. I don't have to have it plugged into this thing. The nice thing about this is it acts like a Bluetooth speaker. So when somebody calls, you can actually have a conversation with them right through the commuter Cove. And that's actually pretty cool because in my vehicle, I don't have Bluetooth, so I pretty much take this thing everywhere with me and listen to music on it. When somebody calls, I just leave it right on the dashboard and I have a Bluetooth speaker in my car. So that's kind of cool. After playing with this thing for a while, you know how you can just tell that something's quality, the weight of it, the way it's built. This is definitely a really quality Bluetooth speaker, and I would absolutely recommend it. When I got this thing, I was more excited than Tinkerbell at a pixie dust party, and it's not let me down. I've been using it for a few weeks now. It's been amazing. So definitely highly recommend it. And right now, you can get 65% off the commuter Cove. And I'm going to put a link in the description box below where you can hit that link. And remember to enter I65 in the checkout to get 65% off this thing. You're not going to find another Bluetooth speaker this quality for that price. Go check it out, guys. Let's get building stuff. I kick her down. And the first thing I was going to do is check the wall to see how level it is. And in this case, it's not. I have from top to bottom about a ½ inch of, it comes from top to bottom, the wall moves out about a ½ inch. Now if it moved in a ½ inch, I would go through on the back of my kicker and wherever there's a cross member, put a shim to push that kicker out up in the back. So when I built my cabinet on it, it would actually lean forward a little bit away from the wall. And then when I do my final attachment, I can adjust all that. So, but because I don't have that problem here, I'm not going to go ahead, I'm not going to do that. Now from one end to the other, it drops almost 3 inches. I am not going to fix that. I just want, as long as my top is nice and flat, it doesn't have to be parallel to the world, it just has to be flat. I'm not going to be too concerned about that. So the big secret here is now that I know my wall's not going to interfere, I'm just going to make sure I keep everything straight and square and build that together, and at the end I can attach it to the wall, move it in and out one way or the other, and I can shim the front one way or the other to get a really nice, plain, flat surface.
So when you're putting the base down, you want to make sure it's nice and straight. Now this is 18 feet of base, and I'm eyeballing this to make sure the plywood's all lined up. Now once I had it all lined up, I attached it. I will mention that using a string line here might be a good idea if you're not comfortable eyeballing it. So once it was all down, I screwed that to the toe kick or the kicker, and then I just laid out where everything was going. Now I have a chop saw going in this stretch and a pocket hole machine going in this stretch, so I laid out accordingly. With the layout done, I went over to the table saw and cut my panels. Now my panels are 20 inches wide, and these ones are 31 5/8 deep. This is going to give me a total height of 37.5. Once that was done, over to the pocket hole machine to cut pocket holes. Now I added 3 pocket holes in most of them and then 4 in the panels that would go next to a machine. Just for a little extra support, not really necessary. With that done, it was just a matter of screwing the panels to the base, making sure that they're flush with the face of the base. So everything's nice and true and flush. And then just screwing them down, making sure that they stay in line with layout. And then just went down the whole thing. Now once that was done, I made top runners. These are the runners that are going to hold the tops of the cabinets together before I actually put the top on. Now in this case, I'm doing mine above the panels. You could definitely do them inverse of that, so you just cut out a little notch in the back that the runner would set in, but I'm going to put a backsplash all the way around mine, so that's going to cover this, and it just makes it really easy working from the top, especially when you're a big fella. So I built my runners and then I cut them to length, and in the back it's an L, so I can attach that to the cabinet, and then that will be used to attach that to the wall. And because I have concrete walls or cinder block walls, I'll use Tapcons to attach the cabinet to the wall. So I'm just making sure each of the cabinets are square to themselves at this point, so all my numbers and measurements are the same. Then I'll come back with a framing square and make sure that that cabinet is square to the base, and then attach to the wall with Tapcons. And at that point I can run it out. And we'll talk a little bit more about how to keep everything nice and true towards the end of the video. And then it's really good to have a Gary and a Gary knee clamp when you're putting the tops on. So after the runners were in, we put all the tops on that first stretch and then started dropping tools. Now this eventually will have a laminate top on here. So we were very careful to make sure that it was all lined up. We used a level across this and just dropped it in place. And that made it perfectly level with the top now. But once we add the Formica top, it'll raise the top a little bit, but I'll just put a Formica piece under the saw as well, which will raise the saw the same amount, so I don't have to ever worry about trying to line it up again. It's already done for me. So once the saw and pocket hole machine were dropped in the cabinet, we went to the next wall and built those out. Same process, but in this case I want to show you how we made sure that they were straight. We're on a string line from one side to the other on a 2x4, exactly an inch and a half back from that kicker. So we can use a 2x4 as a spacer to make sure that everything is nice and true. And once it was, we just drilled holes in the cement and then Tapconned everything into place, and that kept it nice and straight. Now if you needed to raise or lower this a little bit, you could, just using some shims. But this is as far as we're going today. I will eventually paint all this and put either face frames or drawers. I haven't decided 100% what I'm going to do with it yet, or whether it's going to be drawers or doors. Yay. So I'm going to leave it at this point.
Hey everybody, thank you for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned a little something. Doing built-ins is definitely the cheapest and easiest way to do cabinets for a shop like this. You follow a few simple tricks, you can get some really nice flat surfaces, and super easy. Now I've got a lot more work to do on these. I haven't decided whether I'm going to face frame them, whether I'm going to do Euro style, doors, drawers. I'm going to figure all that out as I'm going along here. So we'll see how they come out. So keep watching me over on Instagram, because I'll be posting pictures over there of what's going on all the time. And a big thank you to Cove for sponsoring today's video. The Commuter is a great little Bluetooth speaker. And right now they're doing 65% off. So make sure you hit the link in the description box below to get 65% off. And when you support my sponsors, you're supporting me. That goes a long way. So thank you very much for that. Now, if you aren't subscribed, I suggest you do so. We're just about done now with cabinet builds for a little while. Back to the crazy jigs, some really fun projects coming up, some improvements on the sawmill, just some really cool stuff. So hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell notification next to it so you get notified when I put up videos, and we'll be talking to you soon.